Yes, and then market. And I asked what kind of food would not do that, the more food you have. They were around, and that's very easy. I went there. Yeah.
Testing, testing.
Oh.
Testing, testing. Testing, testing. There we go. Okay.
We're good?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call the June 9, 2025 Harpers Ferry Town Council meeting to order. All members of the council are physically present. However, Nina will be remote and she will be probably 10 minutes late or so. Would you all please rise? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, approve the agenda, council. I want to make, and I spoke with Zach about this prior to the meeting. I want to make one change that I'm aware of. I want to move item 6A to follow 7C. And the reason for this, even though Zach discussed 6A at the last council meeting, it was not on the agenda. So therefore, it cannot be declared old business. We're going to move it to new business. Are there any other changes?
Yes.
Go ahead, Roberta.
Mayor, I'd like to move agenda item 7A, B, C, followed by 6 to the front of the agenda. So we have people here that with maybe information for those, and would like to hear those things heard first. So I'd like to see those moved after item number 2. 7A, B, C.
I'll second that. Okay. So we're moving 7A, B, C, 6A to follow item 2. Item 2.
B, C, all three spoke.
Any other adjustments to the amendment? Zach?
I would suggest that we move item 5F1, the tree report, to the July meeting, and potentially have it discussed at the planning commission before we tackle it here.
I second that. Oh, we're not,
What was the reason?
okay, so you want to strike 7, what is it?
Five.
5F, and just refer to the planning commission?
Planning commission and the July council meeting.
Okay.
What did you do?
I would like to know what.
Can we point of order? Excuse me, George. Go ahead. Go ahead, Zach.
I get that. The town ordinances say that the tree plan does have to be comprehensive plan, and it's a
Okay,
I think there's a lot of
I quit. I am no longer gonna be on the tree commission, and you will not have a tree commission. You're pulling this crap with your yard full of trees that are covered with
Oh, that's enough.
grapevines and. Thank you. Yeah. No,
I don't.
you're full of shit, Jared.
Jake,
I don't know. There's a lot of questions I have on it. Tonight, or we could postpone a month to try and get some more details. I don't think it's super pressing, but. Anyone will.
all right, we'll take the amendments one at a time on the vote.
I have further discussion on this amendment.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I seconded it because I looked down the list of things here and it's extensive. And I would like to see I don't think it's ready for our consideration because I'd like to see the cost per item. I think that'd be a good consideration. And also because there's so many, I'd like to see them prioritized. If we do one after the other, as listed here, and then we get down to number 12, that's the most pressing, most important, but we've used up our funds. We don't want to do that. So I think
A little detailed for.
thank you. Some more details as to cost and priority would be a more thoughtful thing. That's my point of view. Thank you.
I'd like to add to that discussion since we're going to go around the table. I think it was a lot to look at. I did drive around and look at every single one today, except for what I could get to on Franklin Street. I too would like to see maybe an arborist report to see what the condition of these trees are. How do we know if they need to be removed? I'd like to stop seeing the trees removed in this town, and I'd like to see a replanting suggestion every time we remove a tree. But again, I'm not sure some of these trees need to be removed. They look like they were pretty healthy to me. So I think we need more information. A photograph would have been nice to have of every tree, an arborist report, 1 or 2 arborist report if that's what is needed. But I don't think we have enough information to make a decision tonight.
Okay. All right, so the chair entertain motions. We have several amendments on the floor. Norman, go ahead.
Yeah, I just believe that we have charged the tree commission with this responsibility and that they have executed it well. And I feel that it is important that we allow them to present their information.
Okay. All right. So let's deal with 7A, B, C, and 6A. The motion on that to amend the agenda was to follow 2. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so let's somebody put a formal motion on that. We'll go from there.
I believe I did do a motion, and I believe it was seconded by Storm.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the amendment? Okay. All right. Now we have a 5F. And I guess the motion, I don't know if, did we get a formal motion?
I would move to postpone item 5F to the July council meeting.
Is there a second on that? We have a second from George. Discussion on the motion.
We've had discussion.
All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed?
And the vote is?
Passes.
The council,
and someone abstained.
All right.
Okay.
All right, public comment. Do we have any, Debbie?
Sir, I believe we have to have a motion to approve the agenda as.
As amended. Thank you very much.
So
And we have discussion. All those in favor of the motion? All right, now public comment. Christie Huddle.
5B1, paving the streets included with water lines were replaced. My house was built in 1892. The street where I was moved in 1990 was lower than my front yard by about 5 inches. It's now higher. My front yard walkway floods when it rains. We can't just keep adding pavement. 2, the company Chairworks brought in lots of huge sized gravel. It needs to be totally removed before any paving takes place. Otherwise, it's just going to pop that paving up. Chairworks 3, Chairworks replaced the soil in my front yard with half of that big gravel, and I'm talking big, and half dirt, scattered the seed, mulch, and straw. We had to dig out all that gravel before we reseeded and mulched and straw, put straw on. 6A, discussion and action northeast corner of Columbia and Washington Street. This tree was a hawthorn that was not resistant to rust, that has been doing poorly for decades. There's not enough planting area for trees on most of this block and the block to the west. The tree we planted in front of 600 Washington Street died in 2 years. This is the closest tree to this Columbia-Washington intersection. It has the same width of tree planting area. The dogwood to the east has also died. Lastly, the tree plan and standards state that in planting street trees, location of facility lines shall be taken into account. I'm here, so 5F1, Tree Commission 2024. In case this does not come up before we have to leave at 9 p.m., I want to emphasize that all items on this work plan have been evaluated by 3 tree companies. We also have the costs for the work from all 3. We cannot afford to do all the work, especially since it is not clear if there will be any help from the state federal matching grant pass-through. It is also likely additional work will become evident before the contractor is scheduled for work no sooner than November, December of this year. We always do it based on the risk to the surrounding property. We always base it on how much we actually can afford. We usually can only afford to take down 1 tree. So without a matching grant. Now that we don't have we likely won't have a matching grant. The whole reason why I wanted to get it done tonight was that if there's any leftover money from last year, we have a good chance at getting it. If we don't get it, our thing right away, we don't.
Thank you. Ben Buckley.
Free. You look at the old photographs of Harper's Ferry from the Civil War and so forth. There's one there. You'll notice a lot of trees are missing. I don't know if there was a forest here before the Civil War back in those days, but I assume that most of the trees were cut down and the topsoil was probably washed down the river. And over on our property, for example, there's very little topsoil, just a lot of shale. It's not really good for growing trees. We had a lot of invasive trees over there, the tree of heaven. Then we have invasive plantings of ivy, English ivy. It strangled the trees. I think if you look at the old photographs and you look at today, you'll notice the trees have come back, and we're still needing to restore the urban forest here. And I think that's a good thing we need to work on, to restore the urban forest and the whole ecosystem of the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Mayor's announcements. I'm wondering if we could set aside about 30 seconds or so for a little remembrance of Midge Flynn Ghost. Midge was a longtime resident of Harper's Ferry. When we first moved here in 2003 or 4, she showed up on our doorstep knowing that we were moving up from Georgia with a peach pie. So that kind of told you a little bit about Midge. She was a longtime resident here, served on the town council from 17 to 19, and she was also instrumental with the Harper's Ferry Film Festival. So join me where Thank you. Couple things. There are 3 council members that this will be their last meeting. Zach to my left, and Roberta, and Nina. And when individuals volunteer to serve in the public sector, it takes a lot of courage, and to put yourself at a table with 6 people or 7 people seated around the table, and people seated in the chairs, judging us on everything we do or don't do, or everything we say or don't say. So no matter what any differences may occur between any council member, I just take my hat off and applaud those of you that chose, like myself and Storm and Chris and George and Roberta and Zach and Nina. It takes a special effort to do that and to put yourself out. So with that said, I just want to make a couple presentations. We've got Roberta here. Roberta, do with this what you want. It'll either remind you or frighten you. Thank you. And I've got one for Nina, and I have one for Zach. Now, the funny thing with Zach, I'm going to present Zach, even though he had applied to secure the mayor's seat. This is his last council meeting as a council member. And the funny thing about this, he may be doing this to me in 2 weeks. The other thing, my final thing I want to talk about is that last Thursday, late afternoon, early evening, I got a call from Senator Rucker, and she was putting a meeting together the next morning at 9 o'clock up in Carneysville with the Secretary of Transportation. And she wanted representatives from the 5 municipalities to show up and bring up any issues that they have with Department of Highways. And then she arranged for county commissioners to be there. And so there was about 20 people there. And I was one of the 20. Steve was with me. I'm thinking that we were the only 2 mayors that showed up. But the issue that I did and brought up, I had a chance early the next morning to go out and take photographs of Washington Street. And I concentrated on the shoulders. I took 12 photographs, 8 by 10, in color. And then when it was my turn to make a presentation, I discussed the issue of the sorry condition of a state highway that runs through the center of Harpers Ferry. The Secretary of Transportation was asking me a lot of questions, and he was very engaged in it. I don't know where it's going, but I will tell you that when I got back here after that meeting, I also sent 12 copies, or not 12 copies, a copy of each of the 12 photographs to Secretary Chelsea Ruby, the Secretary of Tourism. And the reason I did that is because Secretary Ruby has a great interest and support for Harpers Ferry. And I just let her know that I had sent it to the Secretary of Transportation. I didn't ask her to intercede. I just gave it to her for her information. So I don't know what's going to happen out of this. But I just wanted you to know that I had the opportunity, and I took that opportunity. And it was a spur of the moment. I didn't have much time to prepare for it. She put the meeting together, Secretary Rucker, within hours. She started getting the people together Thursday, and I think she was the one that extended the invitation to the secretary. So I thought the meeting went well. I thought he was very engaged, not only with me, but also with the other principals that were there representing other interests in Jefferson County. So I just wanted to share that with you all. I don't, does Nina, do you have anything for, your announcement, Nina?
Nope, nothing on my end.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's move to 7A, discussion action regarding the easy for me to say, proclamation. Chris, could you do the honors on this, please? And give a little background and history if you could.
Yeah, June is LGBTQ plus Pride Month, and the past year has had some good things happen, but it's also had some very challenging things happen for that community. But I will tell you that last weekend, I was able to march with 4 other representatives. There are 5 of us who represented towns in the Eastern Panhandle with LGBTQ inclusive non-discrimination ordinances. Ours was passed in 2013. Kevin Cardin had a lot to do with that. We thank him for his work on that. This was the sign that I carried in the parade, along with kind of walking next to Sarah McMains from Bolivar with a similar poster. And so anyway, I thought we kind of skipped this formality last year, but I thought it would be a good year to pass a resolution again as we have in the past. Would you like me to read that?
I would, thank you.
Okay. Resolution affirming Harpers Ferry's support of the LGBTQ plus community and declaring LGBTQ plus Pride Month. Whereas Harpers Ferry has a long history of support for diversity, is committed to equality for all, and in 2013 passed an LGBTQ inclusive non-discrimination ordinance. And whereas the month of June is recognized as Pride Month in remembrance of the first organized gay rights resistance protesters in June 1969 in New York City, and whereas LGBTQ plus people across this state and nation may face disparities in employment, healthcare, housing, and many other areas central to the pursuit of happiness. And whereas the state of West Virginia has no explicit ban on discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity in the workplace, housing, or public accommodations. And whereas there has been an increase in anti-LGBTQ plus legislation, statutes, and local ordinances in the United States, including an attempt in the 2025 West Virginia legislature to overturn Harpers Ferry's and all other local non-discrimination ordinances in the state. And whereas LGBTQ plus people, in particular transgender individuals, face a disproportionate risk of becoming victims of violent hate crimes. And whereas by protecting the rights of every individual, we enhance and strengthen the value of everyone throughout our entire society. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council of the Corporation of Harpers Ferry affirms its support of the rights, freedoms, and equal treatment of the LGBTQ plus community, condemns all violence, hatred, and discrimination against LGBTQ plus people, acknowledges that LGBTQ plus rights are human rights that are to be protected, stands in opposition to all legislative efforts that erode the safety, health, civil rights, or bodily autonomy of LGBTQ plus people, supports efforts to ensure the equal treatment of all people, regardless of sexual orientation and gender identity, and therefore declares June 2025 as LGBTQ plus Pride Month in Harpers Ferry. Read, approved, and adopted by the Town Council of the Corporation of Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, this 9th day of June, 2025. Mayor, I move to adopt this resolution tonight.
Thank you. Second, George, discussion. All those in favor? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Patty, is Patty still here? Patty, could you take this over and send it to Nina for a physical signature on there, okay? To her mailing address. You'll get it in the mail, Nina, if you could just sign it and then ship it back to us.
I'll be in office tomorrow.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, then Patty has custody of it, Nate.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Patty. Okay, discussion and action regarding appointment to the Jefferson County Water Advisory Committee. Y'all should have the background on that from Edwina Benetas. She is the county administrator for the Jefferson County Commission, and they're revamping the Water Advisory Committee, or is it committee that existed years ago. And so you should have the copy of the doctrine and on how this is going to be set up and who's the members and this, that, and the other. And we polled the Water Commissioner, Mike Rock did, and evidently there was extensive interest in the Water Commission, and Elizabeth Reardon rose to the surface of being the one recommended by the Water Commission. So the chair will place in nomination Elizabeth Reardon to serve on the Jefferson County Water Commission. Are there other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. The chair will do a voice vote. Nina?
Yes.
Storm?
Yes.
Roberta?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Excuse me, Zach?
Yes.
Chair, yes. Congratulations, Elizabeth, if you are listening. And the next one is discussion and action regarding a proclamation declaring June 14, 2025 as William Mickey Jackson Day. I want to defer to Storm on this. He has some considerable background on this and wants to go through this. Storm?
Yeah, so I'm proud to bring this forward at the request of Dolores Foster Jackson, Mickey's sister. Theirs was a large and community-minded family here in Harpers Ferry and throughout the region. And they worshiped on West Ridge Street at First Zion Baptist Church, in the heart of what was at that time a thriving African-American community. Dolores herself was honored by a similar certificate on the occasion of her 60th birthday and in recognition of her achievements in the field of education. Mickey Jackson himself was a sports dynamo at Harpers Ferry High School and went on to hold major coaching positions at the collegiate level, first at Marshall, then Ohio State, where he coached and tutored two-time Heisman winner Archie Griffin. And of course, there should be a certain bar for honoring people in town. I feel like this crosses it right there. But beyond that, I feel it's important that the town recognize its community members that provide inspiration to us all in different ways. And in this case, in honoring Mickey Jackson, we also remember and honor the local African-American community that produced him. And although faded, that community is an important and essential part of the town's shared heritage. And so I move to adopt the proclamation declaring June 14, 2025 as William Mickey Jackson Day.
Second on the motion. Second, George, discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? 0. Storm, would you do the honors and read that for the record, please?
I will. Proclamation declaring June 14, 2025 as William Mickey Jackson Day. Whereas William Mickey Jackson was born in Charlestown, West Virginia to the late Daniel David Jackson Sr. and the late Mary Frances Taylor Jackson, and has been a contributing member of our community. Whereas the Jackson and Taylor family has been an integral part of Harpers Ferry history for more than 150 years and is an important part of its heritage. Whereas William Mickey Jackson attained the milestone of his 80th birthday on June 14, 2025, as of course in the future. Whereas William Mickey Jackson is a member in good standing of the Harpers Ferry Alumni Association. Whereas William Mickey Jackson graduated from Harpers Ferry High School, where he lettered in both football and track. Whereas William Mickey Jackson distinguished himself as a successful football coach at Huntington High School, at Marshall University, Miami of Ohio, and the Ohio State University. While at the Ohio State University, he coached Archie Griffin, the only two-time Heisman Trophy winner in college history. Whereas William Mickey Jackson was inducted into the Marshall Athletic Hall of Fame in 1985. In 2024, because of his contributions, he was also inducted into the Marshall University Black Association Hall of Fame. Whereas the community of Harpers Ferry seeks to recognize these contributions and honor William Mickey Jackson in a manner befitting its respect and affection for him. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Gregory Vaughn, on behalf of the town of Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, do hereby proclaim that June 14, 2025 be observed as William Mickey Jackson Day.
Thank you, Storm. And Patty has both copies. She'll make sure that the family gets a copy. We'll keep one for the record. If you could put the camera on me a little bit. Nina, I hope.
Sorry, you cut out if you were saying something to me.
Yeah, can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, cool. Nina, I presented two certificates, and I don't know whether you were part of the conference or part of the viewing at that particular time. For the council members who served this council and have chosen not to run again. And I'll highlight a little bit if you didn't hear my my message. I just want to know that I thank you as I thanked Zach and thank Roberta for stepping out and having the courage to run for public office, knowing that you are in a fishbowl and everything that you do and say is not always accepted as correct and accurate. But yet you chose to put yourself out there, Nina, and I want you to know how much I appreciate it. And if I see you tomorrow, I'll present this physically to you. If not, I'm going to make sure somebody, Patty or somebody, will get this to you, Nina. Thank you so much, Nina.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's get back to the real agenda. So we've got, I think, Zach, we dispense with 6A, correct? It's just going to be deferred to.
No.
6A is still at the end of the agenda. Or I guess it's now 7A or 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm thinking 3.
Oh, well, technically it would, because 6A is said to follow 7C.
I think we only moved A, B, and C up in the other motion.
6A.
All of them are.
6A.
Yeah, I had to discuss it either way.
I'm
Should,
neutral.
refer to the chair.
6A
Yeah.
did go after 7C.
Yeah, let's go with 6A. All right, discussion and action regarding the purchase of a replacement tree for the corner of Columbia and Washington Street, which was removed during the water line upgrade project. Zach?
Yeah, we discussed this last month. The tree, it was removed. It was not a part of the 2024 tree plan to be removed. And it was, a casualty of the water main replacement. So we had sort of in discussing the water project last month, had a bit of a discussion that we would like to see one there. Noting that even the addition of trees is part of the tree plan. We can either have a motion on this tonight or just include this in the discussion of the tree plan next month. But I put it on there because I just think it would be nice to see that.
Okay, I think that, I don't think anybody will disagree about, the unfortunate thing with that tree. However, putting that back in its location it will be problematic. Because of the 3 or 4 water mains that are there. Yeah, Debbie, why don't you go ahead? Can you read that?
So this is an excerpt from Steve Parady's report to you, so it addresses this tree, so appropriate in this moment. At the last council meeting, Councilman Morris noted that a tree had been removed at the foot of Columbia Street and that this had not been done according to the town's tree ordinance. The Public Works Administrator subsequently met with the Tree Commission members. Prior approval from the Tree Commission for tree limbing and removal of trees in the public right-of-way is required by the ordinance and will be obtained going forward. With regard to the siting of a tree at Columbia and Washington Street intersection, the Water Department would recommend against replanting a tree at this location. The tree was removed because it posed a safety risk to the crew working on the water main that runs along the north side of the street within the West Virginia Department of Highways right-of-way. This is a busy corner underground with a 10-inch main that is the primary source of water for Lower Town, an 8-inch line that will run up Columbia Street, and a 6-inch line that will eventually run under Washington Street to provide resilience by looping the Fillmore Street neighborhood. As well, there are a number of valves that have been installed to deal with all of these connections. Any work on the water infrastructure that may be required in the future would likely require the subsequent removal of a tree there. There is also the risk that the root structure could do damage to the underground piping.
Okay, thanks, Debbie. I think the issue, Zach, as I read that earlier, is the location. Okay, it's not that, not to plant a tree. I think the tree needs to be replaced, but maybe not in that exact location. So I don't know where you want to go with this.
I think that it would be most appropriate to have this discussion in the context of the graded tree plan for 2025, which we already moved to next month. So I'm content to continue this. I don't think I was noted a bunch of complexities of this location. So I think it's just something to keep in mind, but yeah, we don't need to force it tonight.
Okay. All right.
I
Go ahead, Storm. Then Zach. I mean, Storm.
I move to defer this item to the July town council meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
second.
Second from Roberta. Discussion. George.
Yes, I agree with that, and I'm gonna agree with Greg here that, this type does look problematic. I think the spirit, if not the letter of the law, is replacement of trees. And so we see to the best, most efficacious location at that time. Further study required. That's my discussion. Thank you.
Roberta.
Yes, and just to add to that, I think it is important that the tree plan go to planning commission now that we have these water pipes in our right of way and underground and our future of our water pipes. So really a master tree plan needs to be done to say, where do we need to maybe take more out because it's causing problems with the pipes, or where can we replant to make sure we have the shade and urban forest that we'd love to see here in Harpers Ferry. So I think deferring this to next month so that the planning commission has time to discuss it with the tree commission, but also I think long-term or short-term, depending how fast we can do this, we need a master tree plan.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to defer? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right, now I think we're back to the regular, right?
Back to the top.
Yeah. All right, community announcements, Hilltop. Laurel?
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. I'm Laurel Zemansky, the project manager of the Hilltop House Hotel. So I'm hoping that you all had a chance to go visit the Overlook. I know some of you had a chance to look at that area on a commission walk, but now that it's open to the public, you pretty much see where we stand as far as our site work. But the Overlook is now open from dawn to dusk. And we will continue to have it open for public access until we break ground, in which case OSHA guidelines and life safety will be a factor. So just an update of what's going on with the project. We do have some of our financial team looking at how the discussed unknown tariffs may affect the materials of the project. And as you know, we aren't exactly sure from the federal level what tariffs will be. So we are looking at the certain areas of materials that might be affected. And the other thing, we have the temporary entrance permit to Columbia Street off of Washington. Seems to be a popular spot to talk about tonight. But we will, that is directed by West Virginia Department of Highways. It's under their purview. And we have just addressed the first comments on the entrance permit, and we are pretty sure that when we resubmit it, they will approve that permit. Just point out that in response to a lot of comments from residents on East Ridge Street, concerned about traffic to the hotel, especially trucks and deliveries. We agreed to take those from Washington Street up Columbia Street to the hotel to keep that residential buffer intact. So there will be a widening of the entrance there. We're going to make it so that these trucks can safely have a turning radius to go up the street. Of course, we have challenges because we have the old barber shop on the right, and on the left is the red house with a stone fence. So we have those all addressed on the application. So that's it.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Superintendent.
Mayor, members of council, good evening. See you. I have a number of updates, more than usual, so it's taking a little bit longer tonight to get through these. First, I want to talk a little bit about the current status of park operations. And foremost, I want to say thank you to this community and the members of this community for your support of the National Park Service and our staff. My team is well aware of all the signs out supporting us, and it is appreciated. We see it, we appreciate it, and I talked a great deal to the staff about how much the community here really appreciates the work that they're doing. So thank you for that. We do have our summer interns here, and they are supporting our interpretive and visitor services team. So we will be able to reopen the visitor center 7 days a week, at least for the next several months during the summer. And we are in the process of hiring our seasonal positions and waiting for those resumes to come back from our HR folks. And when we do get them on board, they will be helping us in maintenance, also in interpretive visitor services, and in our fee management operations. Bookstore. Harpers Ferry Park Association's bookstore has returned to its original location at 723 Shenandoah Street after being gone for about a year as the National Park Service replaced the HVAC system in that building. So they are fully moved back, and of course encourage everybody to go see them again in their new old location. Peregrine Falcons. The National Park Service can confirm that we have at least two chicks that are fledgling. Yay. Please, I ask neighbors and visitors, of course, to respect the closures on Maryland Heights, to continue to give the birds room to grow. The park recommends an early morning visit to the point with a good pair of binoculars to watch and enjoy the chicks as they learn to fly. Speaking of wildlife, spring and summer means more wildlife making its way through the park and through the towns. Please remember that feeding and otherwise disturbing wildlife on National Park Service property is a violation of federal regulations and may be enforced with fines and other penalties. Furthermore, related to legal things, West Virginia Senate Bill 225 as enacted. This bill was signed into law in April by the governor. It is a new state law that provides expanded powers to commission law enforcement officers of the National Park Service to uphold state law on NPS property. Harpers Ferry National Historical Park is currently seeking guidance to the United States Attorney's Office and working with other national park units in West Virginia to determine how and to what extent our rangers may exercise the state authorities provided in Senate Bill 225 as enacted. It is basically summertime. We've gotten past Memorial Day, so happy summer, everybody. And this means live outdoor music. And we believe that we are just about got our permit wrapped up for you all for Music on the Ridge. And I look forward to seeing everybody out there on June 21st at Storer College. We also, I do want to just remind folks here in town, and if you have visitors coming in, that our Facebook page and our website and the Harpers Ferry Park Association Facebook page and website have full lists of all the programs and activities going on in the park this summer. I encourage you to check those out. We do have, later this month, we do have a blacksmithing workshop. So if you ever wanted to be a blacksmith, here's a good opportunity. This is one of the association's programs, and it does require a registration fee. But check it out, could be fun. We have some geology tours of Harpers Ferry coming up. That's not something that we or the association do a lot of, but they're always fun to go on. And just please mark your calendars on August 8th. This is the opening night of the Appalachian Chamber Music Festival, and it will be here at Storer College. So we're excited for the summer programming, and I hope that we will see you all at some of those programs.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you for the news, Ralph, and you're making the room.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Any council member have a community announcement? Roberta, then Chris.
I can go last, if I want to do my little address.
Go ahead, Chris.
The superintendent's announcement about summer events reminded me that I should let everyone here know that this Wednesday, the Harpers Ferry Park Association and Harpers Ferry Civil War Roundtable will co-sponsor a tour at St. Peter's Catholic Cemetery. And we'll be going, as we did at Harpers Cemetery last year, grave to grave, and relating interesting stories of people, some of them recent people with Civil War connections. So everyone would be welcome at 6 p.m. Free to the public. We are asking for people to reserve with an email to me.
What day was that?
That's Wednesday at 6.
Thank you, Chris. Roberta.
Quick announcement, don't forget Juneteenth, which is June 19th. Please remember that day as well as we celebrate the June holiday. My main reason for being up here tonight is to say farewell. So good evening, Mayor, fellow town council members, staff, residents, and members of the public. I come before you this evening to bid farewell as your town council representative. I've been preparing this farewell address since my 3rd month in office, but I've tabled it many times. I've watered it down many times. First, I humbly and respectfully thank each and every one of the residents, the voters, people of Harpers Ferry, who had faith in me to put me as their voice at town council. Second, thank you to all the dedicated staff who made this position understandable, made my task easier, and were always there when I asked for help. I am so proud to have served Harpers Ferry alongside each other. Third, thank you to my fellow town council members and mayor, who I've had the pleasure of serving with, but I've also had the pleasure of not serving with. We have had our challenges and regrets. Yes, I have many. I deeply regret and apologize now to the residents, my constituents, my advisors, my voters, and the people of Harpers Ferry that I did not accomplish the many tasks that we set out to conquer. I failed you. I can only leave you with some advice, and hopefully the new council and the candidates are listening. 1, be sworn in all together on the same day. No excuses. Clear the calendar now for that day. We know it's coming. Not being sworn in on day 1 created a divide. 2, you as town council members and the mayor, yes, you do have a personal agenda. That agenda is to serve the residents, constituents, and the voters and the people of Harpers Ferry. 3rd, if it looks, smells, appears, and leaves an impression that it's a conflict of interest, not just judged by the financial criteria, recuse yourself. You'll be better off for it. And yes, study up on those West Virginia codes, those ethics codes, those Harpers Ferry codes especially, and most of all, Robert's Rule of Order. Don't be bullied. Don't be blindsided, and not be ready. Be ready on day 1. These are minimum standards, the codes, the ethics, the guidelines. They're minimum standards. Rise above these minimum standards. Be better than the minimum. Do not accept being just minimum. Be exceptional. I strive to be exceptional with you. I'm sorry, I failed. Talk to the town attorney, all of you. Do not be barred from the advice. You pay for it. Listen and take that advice as a whole, as a unified town council. Communicate, be transparent. I think all of us campaigned on that. I don't think it happened. Be transparent, communicate to the people of Harpers Ferry. And for God's sake, let's get that website up to date. It's 4.5 years old. There's so much that's not on that website. And please continue to clean up the records and room and the recorder's room. We're still missing documents we haven't been able to find for the last 2 years. Know that your job is not done. And the oath of office you take is critical. If you can't do that, dissolve the corporation of Harpers Ferry and return yourself to the county. Do I sound like I'm campaigning again? Maybe I am. Maybe I'm campaigning from this side of the podium, where I will be standing with the people of Harpers Ferry. Tomorrow is a day of change. I wish each of you my best, whatever the outcome. I look forward to a new town council, a new future for Harpers Ferry. Not one that drags itself down by dwelling on its past, but looking forward. Lastly, I offer my time to assist with the new transition for this next administration. I will continue to serve on the commissions and committees. I will get off of my new back porch, and I will come and help you. I will roll up my sleeves, and I will be ready day one. Thank you very much for all of your support and guidance. I appreciate it. And thanks.
Thank you, Roberta. Approval of minutes. Council, we have a fairly extensive agenda tonight. So let me try this. Are there any objections to any of the regular minutes?
Let me just clarify. I got a couple notes. I have George sent me a couple, Chris sent me a couple. March 10th, there was a typo that has been corrected. There was also that was 2025, not 2024. There was also a typo in 3A1 that's also been corrected. April 14th, 4A and 4B have been corrected. May 12th, I accidentally did not mark that George was absent. That has been updated. And the 14th, the approval of minutes was postponed. I had not noted that. That's also been corrected.
Okay.
And those are all the notes I'd received so far.
Okay, thanks, Nina. Go ahead, George.
Thank you, Nina.
Yeah.
On the 10th of March, I'm kind of visualizing my face. Did you make the correction? You made the correction of the year from 24 to 25. Thank you.
Yeah.
How about the other item of the opening date?
Yes. Yeah. That was also corrected. That was 3A1. That was July instead of April. That's been corrected as well.
Thank you very much.
Roberta.
Yes, again, this was overwhelming to get less than 8 hours to review the stack of meeting minutes. I was not present for March 10th, so I can strike that from my approval list because I was not present there. But I do have some various questions on the body of it. And some of the signature lines on the back where we have to have the mayor's signature and the recorder's signature is not on there with the date they signed. That I thought that was a standard format. The page numbering, I've always asked for this to be done where it's page 1 of XYZ, and that's not done because again, going through the records list in the room, if we're missing a page, we don't know that we're missing a page. So I would like to see page 1 of XYZ being placed on all the documents. There were some typos, yes. I don't know what you received from being corrected.
All right.
And I don't know what we need to do. I don't know if we need to postpone these. And,
I'll tell you what, Roberta, instead of going through, I was hoping to get through these with one motion. All right, so let's go to January 13, 2025, regular town council minutes.
Move to accept as presented.
Do we have a second? Second from George, discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 6-1. February 10, 2025, regular town council meeting. Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second from George. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries 6-1. March 10, 2025, regular town council meeting. Motion to approve from Chris. Second from Storm. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed?
Abstain.
Motion carries 6-0. April 14, day in my heart.
Excuse me, could you please tell us about the conflict of interest in that day? Who's permitted?
Yeah, it is my birthday.
Birthday.
Thank you very much. A wonderful day. April 14, 2025. Motion to approve. Motion from Zach, second. Second from George. Discussion on the motion to approve. Chris.
I just wanted to, I'm not sure I heard this, Nina, did you make a note that the approval of minutes was
Yeah.
on there? Okay.
Correct. Yep, that's been corrected.
Thank you.
Other discussion. All those in favor of the motion to approve. Opposed. Motion carries 6-1. May 12, 2025, regular town council meeting. Motion to approve from Zach, second from Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed. Motion carries. Motion carries. Hold on, bear with me. Motion carries 5-1. 5-1. Special town council meeting, February 20, 2025. Motion to approve. Chris, second from Storm. Second, discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion to approve. Opposed. Motion carries 6-1. February 25, 2025. Motion to approve. Correction. February 26, 2025. Motion to approve was George. I knew that. And it was seconded by Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion. Opposed.
Abstain.
Motion carries 6-0. March 11, 2025. Chris.
Motion to approve.
Second. Second from Zach. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion. Opposed.
Abstain.
Motion carries 6-0. April 15, 2025, special meeting.
Motion to
Sorry,
approve.
sorry, March 26th, you didn't do March 26th, 2025?
Thank you very much for keeping me in order, Roberta. Going to miss that. March 26, 2025. Motion to approve from Chris, second from Storm. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion. Opposed.
Abstain.
Motion carries 6-0. Now we go to April 15, 2025, special town council meeting. Motion to approve. Roberta.
I did not receive April 15th in my packet, and I looked online again. I did not receive April 15th at all.
Okay. Motion to approve. Is there a motion to
I
approve?
believe that's correct. I don't think we got that one.
You
Nina,
did
would you
not?
comment on it?
I guess we can skip that one. I'm pretty sure I sent it out, but I mean, I don't have anything in front of me right now, so.
Okay, so we will defer that. We're going to defer April 15, 2025. All right, that concludes all the minutes, town reports, treasurer's report, revised, review, and approval of financial reports, April 2024. Debbie?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. This evening's financials are for the end of April 2025, representing 83% of the year. This is revision 5 for the general fund. Operating income is 98% of the projected in this revision, and expenses are about 90%. In waterworks, this is revision 2. Billing income is approximately 80% and expenses 80%. Any questions?
I move to accept the financial reports for April 2025 as submitted.
Second on the motion? We have a motion, a second from Chris. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Approval of invoices and purchases.
Have the list, checks, and invoices on the table.
I move to accept the invoices and purchases as submitted.
There's a second on the motion, second from Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries 6-1. Discussion and action regarding FY 26 purchasing threshold guidelines. Debbie?
Yep, so you should have received a draft of that, and that is an annual document that has to renew on July 1. So, as there will be some administration in some fashion, there's really no need for any adjustments. Just want to keep it smooth, just to renew it, so we have an operating document.
I move to accept the fiscal year 26 purchasing threshold guidelines as submitted.
Is there a second on that motion? Second from Zach. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Budget and Finance.
Discussion and action regarding WDA construction project change order number 1. Deb?
Okay, let's see, Steve, regarding I'm going to do just the actual description of that project and as an update, as well as the change order together. Steve is going to, in his report, there'll be some more information about the project progress and the impact on water production. But in this meeting, we have a change order to add curb stop to the project. This was a component that was not included at the outset. Curb stops are valves that are placed in the service line between the main and each meter to allow more confined shutoffs should they be required. Any questions about the change order?
I move to approve WDA construction project change order number 1 as submitted.
Is there a second? Second from Chris. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, this is resolution number 8 coming forward on the contractor's application for payment page. You'll notice that we are about 35%. We still have about 35% of our funding left, and we are on target and will likely come in possibly under budget. Okay, resolution number 8 of the Town of Harpers Ferry approving invoices relating to the construction and other services for the water project and authorizing payment thereof. Whereas the Town of Harpers Ferry has reviewed the invoices attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference in relation to the construction of the water project funded by the West Virginia Water Development Authority, EECG funds, and C&D Bank Construction Trust funds, and finds as follows: that none of the items for which the payment is proposed have been requested from another source, that each item for which the payment is proposed to be paid is or was necessary in connection with the project and constitutes the cost of the project, that each of such costs has been otherwise properly incurred, that payment for each of the items proposed is due and owing. Now therefore be it resolved by Town Council Harpers Ferry that the payment of the attached invoices as summarized below are hereby authorized and directed. BB&F from C&B funds $30,087.07. TerraWorks $549,325 for a total of $579,412.07. Adopted by the Council of the Town of Harpers Ferry, the meeting held on the 9th day of June 2025.
I move to approve WDA grant resolution number 8 as submitted.
Or second from Chris. Discussion? This is a voice call? Voice vote?
No, it's not.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? 0. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. So now for an update regarding 2024, 25, and 26 CDS funding. Our meter project in fiscal 24, the EPA is still reviewing our application. They have provided several of the certifications required for our project to move forward with bidding. We are hopeful this process will conclude within the next 2 weeks. Once that happens, Town Council will need to convene to approve the bid, which may require a special meeting. Governor Morrissey's office has requested a restatement of need for the matching funds pledged by Governor Justice's office last year. This has been submitted and received by their office. We await their reply. For 26 and 27, the submissions, as you know, were made to Senators Capito and Justice and Congressman Riley Moore in the amount of $7.3 million for the next phase of the distribution system, and they are now under review. Probably won't learn anything till fall. Governor Morrissey's office again asked for a statement restating the need for the matching funds pledged to Governor's Justice's office this last year. And this was submitted with an additional request for the funds to match the additional monies required for the projects that get increased in cost. We await their reply.
Discussion action regarding FY25. You're gonna do both of those at the same time, 4 and 5, Debbie?
I am.
Okay.
As I found my notes. Okay, here we go. Yes.
Sorry, you're gonna do number
Okay.
4. Yeah.
I got it. I'm going to discuss both the General Fund Revision 6 and Water Revision 4 together. As the primary intent of both revisions is a motion that will affect both budgets. As fiscal 25 has progressed, this council has had various discussions in and out of executive session regarding timing of the new meter project, defeasance of Bond 86A, and other budget elements relating to personnel, vendors, and customers that would affect cash flow in this calendar year. There were numerous training sessions and discussions with our attorneys in the first year of this administration regarding methods to bolster income to the utility directly from general fund. As a reminder, the only legal method is transference directed by council fiscal year by fiscal year of cell tower rental income from the general fund to the water utility. While there is positive movement, in most areas that are constraining cash flow within the water utility, timing of these movements led Budget and Finance to consider recommending transferring fiscal 25 cell tower revenues received by the water utility, by the general fund to the water utility. The general fund revision is based on total income that will be received in such areas as sales tax revenue, meaning that we have already received the maximum amount that we are going to get for the year. Adjustments to other items such as B&O tax, building permits, fines and fees, parking violations, and lottery were set with good confidence as we are so close to the end of the year. Reducing rents and concessions to reflect singly the post office lease only resulted then in a net reduction to the entire budget of $7,000. Expenses have been adjusted accordingly. When we prepared the fiscal 26 budget, you requested a minimum amount of operating reserves to be retained. The effect of this fiscal 25 revision does not have a material impact on those reserves. Therefore, in Waterworks Revision 4, we are increasing the income by the cell tower revenues received of $66,000, along with new water tax and interest increases, adding additional renew and replace funding for recent repairs, and the expenses have been adjusted accordingly. A little complex, but any questions?
And on this one, is it all rolled into revision 6, or do you want me to make it separate?
We have to do a roll call on revision 6.
Or I mean, as far as moving the tower revenue.
Well, you're gonna need to you should make the revisions first.
Yeah.
Approve the revisions, and then you need a motion to move the money from the general fund to the water.
Great. I move to approve fiscal year revision 6 as presented.
Is there a second? Second, Chris, discussion on the motion. Roll call, Nina.
Yes.
Storm.
Yes.
Roberta. Chris.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Chair, yes. Motion carries 7-0.
I move to disperse $66,000.
Water, we gotta do water.
Oh, right.
Water revision 4.
Right. Move to approve Waterworks budget fiscal year 25 revision 4 is submitted.
Let's do a roll call on that too.
Is there a second? Second from Chris, discussion. Nia.
Yes.
Storm.
Yes.
Roberta.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
George.
Yeah.
Zach.
Yes.
Chair, yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Now I move to disperse $66,000 from 345 rents and concessions, which represents cell tower income received by the town for fiscal year 25 to Harpers Ferry Waterworks.
Is there a second on that? Second from George. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carried. Nina,
Sorry, I was trying to raise my hand. I clicked the wrong button.
Okay. All right. No opposed. Motion carries 7-0.
Discussion and action, 4th of July musical entertainment. This is, oh, sorry.
Question, did we not have any action on 5B3?
No, no.
No, there's no action on that. Yeah.
This is for our 4th of July celebration over in the bandstand park. And this is to pay the Roarsville Band, who does not ask for payments, but they do such a bang up job. So I move to approve spending up to $300 to pay the Roarsville Band out of 906 for the 2025 July 4th event.
Second from Zach. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed. Motion carries 7-0.
Flip-flop kickoff. So this is previously approved funding to help with flip-flop kickoff that occurs. It is an event run by a organization called the Flip Flop Festival. So I move to approve reimbursing $600 previously approved by this council to the Flip Flop Festival for the 2025 flip-off kickoff out of 402 Economic Development.
Thank you. Second on the motion, we have a second from Zach. Discussion.
Just a quick question.
Go ahead, Roberta.
There is no one on this town council that is a board member or organizer or related to this flip-flop kickoff organization that might need to recuse himself.
There is a town council member who has given a great deal of his time to pulling off the flip-flop kickoff, and he has no financial interest in it.
But you are a board member or a officer of that organization?
I am the treasurer, yes.
You would not be able to support to recuse yourself.
Okay, that is the council member's decision on that, whether to recuse himself on that. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed, motion carries 7-0.
Discussion and action regarding synchronization of pay step and COLA increases for qualifying town employees. That is a mouthful. So basically, we have our step increases for all of our town employees. Because of circumstances, the police department, they're actually all aligned, but other employees are scattered throughout the year. There needs to be a review, and it makes it difficult to manage it. So we discussed it in budget and finance with the financial officer, and what we are recommending is to synchronize that review and increased date, and for it to align with the Harpers Ferry Police Department so that we can do that all at once. So.
And it was that form that was related to this.
No. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here it is.
Yes, okay. All right. So you,
Yeah.
Sorry, I flipped agendas here.
Hold on.
Yeah. Well,
We'll never get the store back.
no, I got it. I was looking at the backup information for this. I move to approve the payment advancement schedule for employee pay step increases to July 1, which includes a unified employee review date of April 15, and which will synchronize town employees to receive their pay increases on the same day.
There's a second on the motion. A second from George. Discussion. All those in, go ahead. Okay. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed, motion carries 6-0.
Discussion and action regarding Harpers Ferry and Waterworks paving projects. I think this is the update on the paving summit that we had.
Yeah.
Which I'm prepared to give.
Go ahead.
So last week, the mayor, the public works administrator, the office coordinator, the finance officer, the chair of planning, and myself, in my capacity of budget and finance, sat to see if we can break the logjam on paving projects that were done. An effort had been made by Planning Commission to do a triage that happened about 16 months ago, and Zach and Paul Thomas did a very nice job of doing that. And due to circumstances that ended up not happening, we did get bids in the fall, and because it was so late in the season, we got one bid. It was not actionable. So what we determined was that that list would be revised by planning and that a triage be made to identify those that are critical based on the work that was done before. Fast track those, identify those that are bad but maybe not critical, and those that might be able to wait longer. But based on prior estimates, depending on how it shakes out, we believe we can manage at least a critical list, if not more or all of them, pending the completion of the review. So I don't believe there's any action right now, but that's an update.
Any questions for Zach or Norm?
With the review coming on planning.
Okay. All right,
No
so,
action on this tonight.
Correct.
Just update.
correct.
Yeah, until we know. Go ahead.
I have one question. With respect to Tuttle's comments at the beginning of the meeting, there is some paperwork that will be happening up on Westridge. It's a lot of gravel, causing some issues. I think we're anticipating that being done as part of the water main replacement.
Yeah, there's also things that the waterworks will be doing. So this was originally the waterworks has their annual list, and planning said, hey, we would like to have to look at some things too, and that ended up kind of delaying things a bit, but we've got it back on track.
Sounds good. I think that may have jumped, if it was not already being covered, that would jump to a high priority, but it sounds like it's all.
And if it's okay, I'll add a comment that the restorative paving being done by the water project is going to be months from now. It's not gonna happen next week. The foreman of the paving part of that company is coming down within the next several days, and then we will be at the mercy of that paving schedule. So this, we have to wait till all those pieces get done, and then you bring the pavers in. So it's just timing wise to be aware.
And we also discussed that, we absolutely are just some things that will need to be patched. It's not ideal. And that ultimately, there needs to be a capital improvement plan that will address this in a larger way, in a way that we can seek funding, because some of the stuff is just built up over decades and decades and, can't be done with duct tapes and popsicle sticks.
Number 10, Storm, you going to handle that?
Sure. Wouldn't build a house up.
All right, we have the Weaver Gillis.
I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Weaver Gillis, not actually. Oh, as far as the finances go, so the history on this, it's the Historic Landmarks has an agreement that the town can act as a pass-through for SHPO funds. I have it muddled in my head right now, frankly.
Okay, you want me to
It's like
take that? Are you
Please.
good? You got it?
You got it.
Go for it.
the private organization that's overseeing this restoration and evaluation of it went through the state historic SHPO, and a requirement for getting the funds from the grant from them is we serve as a conduit in this town. And so that's why this is on the agenda here. We're not spending any of our own money, but rather the money that's been placed into an account.
Yeah.
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 And so now the work has been, yes, thank you.
The evaluation has been performed.
Per spec, and it's come back as valid. So now we need to have those funds transferred in order for the contract to be paid. So this will be two separate motions for what is the second draw and the third draw. So the first, I move to transfer $4,900 from general fund bank account to SHPO operating account to pay Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc. for invoice number 462866 against 911 Historic Landmarks related to the Weaver Gillis Historic Preservation Project.
Second from George. Discussion. Roberta.
I need a definition. You said the spec was met and, I don't know what you said, but you said something about a spec and it met it. So can you clarify what you mean by a spec and it met it?
The conditions of the work that was supposed to be performed was performed appropriately.
Correct. And is this item C, sorry, is this item payment number 1, payment number 2, was it related to the structural assessment.
I do not know all of the details. I did look at the paperwork that was given and saw that the people in charge of overseeing it signed off on it.
Debbie, would you clarify, please?
I know one of the things.
So this project totaled $21,000. Requirement of SHPO is that it be divided into 3 separate phases of payment, each equaling $7,000. The engineers pretty much finished up the whole project in 2 phases. So as a formality, we're breaking it up into 3 phases, second and the third phase. So the report that you have in phase 2 and the report that you have in phase 3 is like the same. And SHPO has reviewed the report. It adheres to their standard for this type of a grant and this type of work. They are satisfied that the engineer has provided the services that they requested, and they approved that we proceed with paying the engineer on their behalf until we are reimbursed by the federal and the state governments.
Okay, and my follow-up is reading that report. It's a preliminary structural assessment, and they're still saying we need an architect. So they're technically saying the structural assessment isn't done. It's not complete because an architect still needs to be involved, or a structural engineer needs to be involved. The group that did it is a civil engineer group. So what is our next step? Is HLC, because I know the funding is almost gone, and if we still need to have some extra steps here, how do we make this happen? Or is the assessment, like you're saying, meeting the mark? It didn't really say that the structure should be condemned.
Okay.
We're waiting for someone else to make that ruling for us? Or?
Okay, that, Roberta, goes beyond our scope.
Yeah.
Our scope
Okay.
is passing through,
Mhm.
okay? The scope of the work is being done by SHPO, State Historic Preservation Office in Charleston. They oversee this. Now, if you have concern that you just expressed, then I would recommend that you contact a member of the Historic Landmarks Commission, who, George is a representative here. Express your concerns to George, and George will make a decision whether he feels this needs to be rightfully brought to the attention of SHPO. But that's not our area. Our area is to pay the money that SHPO says the project has been concluded, and you're authorized to release the funds. Okay. Any other discussion? Now I've forgotten. Where are we? We had a
Motion and a second.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay,
George.
thank you. No other discussion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 6-1.
Part 2 for this one. Move to pay $2,100 to Civil Environmental Consultants, Inc. for invoice 462866 from SHPO escrow account related to the Weaver Gillison Historic Preservation Project.
For second on the motion, second from George. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 6-1.
And
Discussion.
then,
Discussion action regarding, did we table that?
No, sorry.
no, this is part 3, which is identical to
Okay.
part 2. It just has a different invoice number.
I'm sorry.
You're on number, oh yeah, oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we're on number 11. Move to transfer $4,900 from general fund bank account to SHPO operating account to pay Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc. for invoice numbers 465308 against 911 Historic Landmarks related to the Weaver Gillison Historic Preservation Project.
Second on the motion, second from George. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries 6-1.
That's part 2. Move to pay $2,100 to pay Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc. for invoice 465308 from SHPO escrow account related to the Weaver Gillison Historic Preservation Project.
Second on the motion. Second, Chris. Discussion. George.
I just want to raise a point, just to save any time. The evaluation was performed as requested, and that's what we're dealing with here. The architect only comes in because of the evaluation, put the language in, the following measures are recommended to repair the damage. And then it says an architect shall be coming at that point. So the architect recommendation is not part of the evaluation. The evaluation is completed. that answers your concern, okay?
All right, other discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries 6-1.
Last item under budget and finance, discussion and action regarding police department radar equipment. They require new radar equipment. Right now, we have a quote that is out of date. So I'm moving to distribute up to $2,000 to MPH Industries for radar equipment out of police department supplies, pending receipt of a complete quote.
There's a second on the motion?
Go ahead.
I would say up to $2,000 for purchase and installation. MPH may not do the installation, and we're estimating the installation.
I meant it purchasing and installation.
All right, one more time, Storm.
Well, hang on. So it's not MPH doing the installation. Move to distribute up to $2,000 to purchase radar equipment from MPH Industries and to have it installed.
Okay,
We're good?
that'll work.
All right.
That'll work.
Oh, out of police department supplies,
Yep.
pending receipt of a complete quote.
Thank you, Storm. We have a second from Chris. Is there discussions? Zach?
Just real quick, we say install.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes into, yeah.
Reverse.
Quick question, you said this wasn't outdated, so is this funds that were already approved and you're just adding $2,000?
No, the quote isn't outdated.
The quote expired,
Okay.
so technically we couldn't go to them and say, okay, here's the quote.
Okay, and so the quote's still the same, $2,000 from the outdated.
It allows for potentially a small increase in the unit itself plus the installation.
Other discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, you have a copy of the police report in front of you. Any questions for the chief? Okay, you have a copy of the OCO report. If there's any questions, let me know. Planning Commission, Zach.
Yeah, I'll keep this one short. The biggest update is that we had been trying to get the comprehensive plan ready for a June public hearing, first reading. We have a draft, finally, a full complete draft. I call it version 1. That has been sent to our consultant at WVU, the land use clinic, and she is not available to come meet with us to do the ranking of the priorities that or action items of the plan until July. So that's going to be delayed a little bit more. My plan is to ask planning commission members at this month's meeting to preemptively create a list of prioritize the list of action items. That way, when we have that July meeting, it should go quickly, and then we can get this compiled together, aesthetically pleasing, and then out for review. So it should be soon. I apologize for that. I will also ask the planning commission for a vote to see if we can send the early draft to this town council just to get everyone's input into this one. And then if I can move on, the other thing we discussed, which is here tonight, is discussion and action regarding our recommendation on the Cambridge Street connection to the Woodpecker Woods Trail. Jacob Stetz is here from Trail and Town Alliance. Chris is also a member of Trail and Town Alliance. So there's a small map being contributed. The elevator pitch version of this is this idea that bounced around from committee to committee. It came to Parks and Rec, where it was given approval, and then came here. We asked the planning commission weigh in. It went to planning commission. Planning commission, majority of planning commission gave approval at our last regular meeting. And now we're back here. I will underpin all of this by saying a social trail already exists in this location. And so I believe that the work we would be approving in accordance with the memorandum of understanding would be a combination of cleanup and stabilization of what already exists. But with that, I will, if the chair allows, invite Jacob to give an overview.
Okay, real quick, Jacob, because we're running.
Okay, yeah, so this has been through those two committees, and they were in favor, and this is just to give, better access to the system from the, Cambridge, Gilbert, Washington, Westridge side of town. There's also some tree work being done out there in the clearing, and gives better, legitimate access for the work there as well. And as you can see, currently they need to go a few blocks around, and we just shorten the access. So,
Pretty emotional for it.
Yes, I move to approve the work for the Cambridge Street extension to Woodpecker Woods Trail pursuant to existing memorandum of understanding with Trail and Town Alliance.
There a second? We have a second from Roberta.
No,
Discussion?
no second.
All right,
I
keep your hand down until I call for discussion. Storm, second from Storm. Now discussion.
An
Roberta?
amendment to the motion that the Trail and Town Alliance apply for a permit through Parks and Rec as required per the documents adopted by this town when there is a trail to be done. And that be applied and approved to the OCO or whatever organization that has to come back to the PC Planning Commission. But it needs to have a permit before they start anything. And I would like to amend that motion.
Is there a second on the amendment?
I'll second that. And I'd ask that we begin discussion now.
I'm going to call for discussion
Yeah.
on the amendment.
That's good. Discussion.
Go ahead.
Roberta, I seconded it to be able to get a discussion here. I have an additional concern that I would like to see put in here in addition to what I think is a valid requirement to follow our town process, Parks and Rec. And that is, I've been down to this site and there is a considerable quantity of construction tree debris. And I don't mean branches, I mean logs. And you've seen this. Now, I just had some tree work done, and the removal of that kind of stuff is not anything that anybody in this room could do. It's heavy equipment and it's pricey. I think it's appropriate to see an estimate, and it's on town right away. An estimate of what's called for there. I don't think it's safe, frankly, to have children go down an area with objects this large and it's an eroding area. I think it's our responsibility to have this removed. I'd like to see an estimate come down for the cost of that. And then also to find out who's going to pay for that. If the Trail Alliance wants to step up, wants to share it with the town, we can work out something, but I think we have to go in eyes wide open to this first. So Roberta, I'd actually ask you to withdraw your amendment, and I'll withdraw my second, if we can come up with some kind of way to get more information about what's needed here.
Okay,
Is there other discussion on the amended motion? Storm?
Yes, I feel from what I've heard that this has been vetted by both Parks and Rec and Planning Commission. And we have a capable and experienced core of volunteers who are committed to effecting this work. And I don't feel that there's any need to put it through additional hoops.
Other discussion? Roberta?
Yes, and I know that they're very capable. That's not my point, and that's not why I am asking for them to do a permit. It was brought to our attention by a previous town council member that there is a process that if there is a trail to be built in our town, they must get a permit. They must have a survey. They must show us what they're doing. They must get approval. They just can't go into these properties, whether it's DNR's property, whether it's private property, whoever's property it is, whether it's town right away or whatever. We need to have a permit, and where they need to show us what they're doing. This is a steep riverbed area. The incline is greater than 20%. Again, in our comprehensive plan, it says we shouldn't be disturbing these areas. And I also understand that these logs, I think you brought them up at planning, that, and I think rumor has it that these are left over from the person who built the house on Cambridge Street. So technically, the OCO should cite that permit holder, that resident, if there is in fact left over from his construction site. We also have a problem with the street itself, where it's eroding and it wasn't built to the specifications as per that permit. So we also have in the stormwater plan that was presented that this was supposed to be one of our rain gardens. And so along with that permit that we're asking you to come present, we're asking you to, why don't you work together with the stormwater problem that we have, with the stormwater proposal that we're thinking, that there was a rain garden in the middle of this prospective trail. So we have a lot of things going on here that we can't just have people out there, let's just go make a trail again. Okay, we really need to plan. Let's plan, let's get all the people at the table, let's pull a permit, and let's do this the right way. This is an area that is going to a road, is a steep incline. We're already having built up of water there when it rains. So we're asking for, by not going through the proper process, we're asking for more problems to happen down the road. And I think we just need to do it right. Let's do it right, please. Like I said on the podium, let's rise above the minimum. Let's be exceptional.
Thank you, Roberta. Any other discussion on the amended motion? Chris?
My understanding is this is the permission needed, that the planning commission has approved it and the town council. There is no paperwork process. Where is
There is
that?
Wayne brought here a book about this thing.
No,
Okay.
Roberta.
Okay, we're gonna, Chris address the chair, or Roberta.
I'm sorry.
Chris has the floor.
The report that she has numerous times referred to was a study. I was involved in looking at the potential for trails. When was this? Maybe around 2013. And a report was written. It was never adopted by the town council. It has provided ideas that we continue to go back to, but it is not a permit process.
Okay, thank you. Other discussion? Roberta, do you have your hand up? Or
Yes,
you
yes,
just-
I have my hand up.
All right, your second and last discussion
Yes,
point.
a couple questions. May I ask a question of the applicant?
Direct them to the chair.
Okay, he talked about tree clearing. Who's doing the tree clearing in that area?
Who's doing the tree clearing?
So the trail does not require the stacked logs that are mentioned to be moved. That
Okay.
was a aside that I mentioned at another commission, that there is a pile of trees down there from construction, but the right of way is 30 feet wide and it only takes up like 10 feet. So there's plenty of room to get past it. Also regarding the boundaries that was mentioned by Roberta, both corner stakes are present and we know the location of this for the backs of the property.
Okay.
So that's not an answer.
Second question, go ahead.
Okay, and if the thing is it was presented, and I've read the meeting minutes from that room right in there, that trail thing has been approved. So if we don't understand what our rules are and we don't know what our processes are, then I think we need to take the time to find out what they are before we say there isn't any, because I've read them. Okay, and Wayne came in here and presented the book to us and said we're supposed to be following this. Parks and Rec stated that they would be the managers of these trails and they would press these trail and town alliance, whoever wants to make a trail, to come in and get a permit and go through that book process. That is stated on the record by the person from Parks and Rec. And the discussion that Parks and Rec has had is not an approval. It is they agree to recommend to the planning commission, they agree to recommend to town council. The same thing with planning commission, we recommend to town council. It's a recommendation. It is not an approval of a permit that's required. Please understand the language.
I call the question.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the amended motion, raise your hand.
And the amended motion is
To have Trail in Town apply for a permit, et cetera.
Parks and Rec.
All those in favor of the amended motion? Opposed?
I'm recusing myself from this.
I'm recusing myself also.
Okay. The motion fails 4-1. All right, main motion.
Can I have a hand up? So you recuse yourself, Nina recuse himself, so 1, 2, 3, 4 was the vote.
All right, main motion. All those in favor of the main motion?
I'm also going to recuse myself from this.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-2. Okay. All right. Here,
Yeah, that's it for mine. Thank you.
that's it. Go ahead. Okay.
We moved that. Wait for.
All right, Landmarks Commission, George.
Okay, it's long, but I'm gonna make it short. HLC has not yet deliberated in final format of Appendix A. The Weaver Gilliston project, we've had 2 reports undertaken in the last 8 months. And we are at the conclusion, as I mentioned, of this process, our participation in it. And I have a note here from the president of Planning Landmarks Commission that we hope that the success of the Weaver Gilliston House it serves as a guide and inspiration to people seeking SHPO funds. And our town stands willing to work with you. The HLC discussed the following properties in our last meeting. One on 168 West High Street, one on 7970 Washington Street, new construction in the corner of Ad and Craven and Putnam Streets, and a project on 575 McDowell. Thank you.
Thank you. Water, Steve. Debbie covered the tree issue. Okay.
There's the thing on the podium.
All right. So the water production statistics are as follows. Last month we filtered 6.4 million gallons. We billed for 3.7 million gallons, unaccounted for water 2.1 million gallons, amounting to 37%. Hasn't been as low as 37% for quite some time. And technically, we've got water that we've been using to flush, some of the new lines and all the rest. We didn't go back and try to tease that out. That would actually lower that percentage a little bit more because that was accounted for water if I went back and did the calculations. So all to say, I think we're, the project is, certainly helping us. We've also identified a significant leak over on the 6-inch main over by the KOA. And so we'll be tackling that this week. Want to offer sincere thanks to the Friendship Fire Company. They loaned us 500 feet of fire hose and a nozzle that we were able to use to clean the sludge from our sedimentation basin. All right. We just, we still have to get rid of the sludge, but we got it from one place to another. And actually that was so much more effective than a pressure washer and all that. Should have seen Jacob and Brandy out there handling the fire hose. Power generator also, we took advantage of the day that we had power outage. Well, actually, we had already scheduled all this to do that then, but so we took advantage of that. But actually, the generator power, our new power generator did work flawlessly, and we were able to switch over the plant onto generator power and run through that without a hitch.
What a privilege.
The water main replacement project phase 1 that is continuing. All of the piping, gonna correct me if I'm wrong here with my statement here, but I believe all the piping will be completed tomorrow, Wednesday. That's right at this point. The last remaining services off the Church Street line are being replaced this week. All is going well with that. We've got restoration, which is basically landscaping and paving. Deb's already talked a little bit about the paving. Those are partially complete. I shouldn't say paving, the landscaping is partially complete. The pipe fitting crew will be moving out, and then a separate crew will be coming to town to complete the work. And the only other thing I would say is that the office has been working diligently to keep up with the changes in schedule due to weather and safety considerations, as well as dealing with associated complaints. I have to say we are living in that space. But all in all, the project I think has been going very smoothly and for the most part on schedule.
Any questions from Steve, Zach?
One quick one.
Sure.
In the at least patching efforts for the Church Street part that's being done now,
right?
There's a bunch of gravel and asphalt that's been staged there.
Okay.
you know, we're waiting for final paving for a few months, but that
Right.
those stage materials will be used as part of the efforts now. They're not gonna stay there for a while, right?
I'll inquire, you know, what they're gonna, you know, once they're done this piece and they all clear out, if they're gonna pull all that out. And the paving stuff, that's cold patch. So it's a little bit better than laying down, you know, asphalt, it's not laying down stone dust, something like that. It's a little stickier, but it's certainly not, you know, the final paving material. But yeah, they're gonna get all their materials out of there and all this. I'll have to find out when they plan to do it.
It's been a valuable part of the space.
Yeah.
It'll be part of the
I'll make sure that they realize that.
Anything else for Steve? Thank you, Steve. ORC.
Okay, basically I have our report. Final report. I'll pass this down. Okay, so, this is report number 12 and my final report as ORC chair. Again, it's been a pleasure to serve on this committee and thank you, Mayor, for giving me the responsibility that I absolutely love this committee. I love serving with Chris and George. So, what I am showing you in item number 1 was basically updating the ordinance law that, Kevin Carter started with you. And so the research that I was doing with the help of Nina and, Melissa was to update that spreadsheet and law, and we got it to year 2000 to 2025. And so it was basically getting that, and that will sit in front of the ordinance master book. I have not printed out the final copy. I want to make a presentation to my 2 members on the committee in our final meeting scheduled for June. So just know that that's document will be already updated either by the new ORC, new recorded, whoever becomes in that position. So hopefully you'll maintain that document, and I'll turn that spreadsheet over to the Excel spreadsheet. Unfinished business, we can read items A, B, and C. We were presented by some things that resulted in 2 ordinances, and 2 ordinances will be read for first reading tonight. And we'll do that here in a minute. What else? We were also visited by the administration on behalf of OCO regarding a possible discussion regarding food trucks. So that's going to be also discussed in our June meeting. And you can read about some more in other detail. The FEMA floodplain ordinance is still pending. We don't have any news from FEMA at this moment. Again, the master books for ordinances is kept in the town hall. So with that, I'll go back to new business. And if we're ready to proceed, I can present ordinance 2025-01 for first reading.
Roberta, I have some questions.
Yeah.
Can I get the floor from you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. I don't know anybody else on the council, but I got a little confused with this. And first of all, this 2025-01, that was ORC, correct? You all did this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was this a full committee that participated in this?
We discussed this on a couple occasions with full committee, and it was decided that Chris and I would work on this. Okay, one committee member did not want to work on it. I presented it at several meetings on what we were going to do, whatever, and so it was a 2-to-1 vote. We did this.
Okay. All right. Now, as I went through this, I counted 257 changes. Most of these changes the majority of, probably in excess of 95%, deal with cross references, correct?
All of it is basically cross-referenced.
Okay.
There's only one that
Okay.
changed the title of the article.
And I would say from what I read on all the cross references that I looked at, what was in the original ordinance and the discrepancy with the cross reference had nothing to do with the West Virginia code number. It had just to do with verbiage that was used in our ordinance compared to the West Virginia code. Is that not correct? Okay. Okay, hold on a minute. Okay, so with 257 changes, is there another way? Are you planning to make this a standalone ordinance?
No, sir. It's an ordinance to amend the code of ordinances. And what's going to happen once this is approved as second reading is that the cross references would be updated in the master document. So
Okay.
the master document I have, and I'm going to get this done before June 30th, if it all goes well, where we would insert basically what we agreed to tonight, I'll take it out, put it in underneath the correct article, and spit out a whole new.
Okay. Why did you choose to go to the ordinance route to do this as opposed to a resolution?
Because this is the correct way. You are,
Did you research that?
it's what was done in the past, okay, when I'm, again, looking at how you handle the text amendments and your updates and cross references in the past, it's handled the same exact way.
Okay. All right. The chair is going to defer to Kevin. I have a question for you. You've done this in the past. Is this the normal way it's done from your perspective?
I think that I'm out of order.
No, no, the chair's taking privilege of getting an answer.
No, it's not the normal way.
Okay,
that
what is the normal way?
cross references are updated. That's either done administratively or through a resolution. When you insert cross references into an ordinance, there's a difference between ordinance and codified ordinance book. So when you insert cross references into an ordinance, you give them the power of law. And if those cross references don't belong in that section, or the nuance has changed, then you've changed the entire previous ordinance that those cross references have been added to. It's not proper to update cross references through an ordinance.
And where are you getting that information, Kevin, if I may ask?
From my education, actually.
Okay.
I'm in law school.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Is he a member of the bar?
No. Okay, George, I have the chair. I'm trying to get clarification, okay? So that I can better understand what Roberta's trying to do. Is there anything else, Kevin? Okay.
Unless you have a question for me.
All right. Storm, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was also generally puzzled. I really do appreciate the amount of work that went into this. But I'll ask, did you consult with the subject matter expert?
We have the right to take this ordinance 2025-01, if it's the pleasure of this town council, then I would suggest you have the town attorney review this.
So
And that will certainly be a suggestion we can have this evening. But if you look at what's happened in that room, I have for the years 2000 to 2025, how it's been handled.
Okay, Roberta, if we do a first and second reading and pass this, physically, will this document be in our ordinance book?
The ordinance will be in your ordinance
This right here.
book. Yes,
Okay.
but the way the text needs to change, in other words, let's say you take the first one. Under Article 527 noise, the cross references will be inserted as written here in the master document. In other words, somebody, I'm going to do this before June 30th, that's for sure, is I am going to take this cross reference and insert it in the master.
No, I get that. I get that. I'm saying is this going to have a number to it? And it'll be ordinance number 2631 or whatever it is. Is this going to be,
25 or more.
okay. And where is this going to fit in our codified ordinances?
It doesn't, it's text amendment, sir. It's a text amendment, and you are basically changing the text as you're saying throughout this whole thing. Okay, you're striking text and you're adding text. You're updating text. In fact, let me just quickly do this. So what's happened is West Virginia Code 812-5 got renumbered over many, many years. Who knows? Okay, but here, let's say, the first one. So the cross reference is 812-5, paren 23, which is crossed out because paren 23 was renumbered to paren 22. And also paren 43 also applies to this noise article. Okay, now if we go further down, the titles, you have reference ordinance. Okay, so if you go down to line 19, 20, and 21, you say ordinance 505.04. It's not an ordinance. 505.04 is not an ordinance. That's a typo. Ordinance is an article. It's not an ordinance. So ordinance 505.04 is being changed to read correctly. It's article 505, section 505.04. And the correct title is animal and fowl nuisance vocalizations. Now again, probably over time you guys have changed and updated your codes. You've made amendments, okay, and you've changed the title of things. Here's a prime example. If you go in one case, you cite an ordinance and it doesn't exist anymore. We shouldn't be citing the ordinance, it should be citing the article. So when I go to look for, I think it was under traffic code. So if you go to page 9, okay, and you go to item 13, which is line item 188 through 194, okay, and you look at what you guys had under your cross references, and you say ordinance article 345.07. Well, there's no such thing as ordinance article 345.07 anymore in your Harper's Ferry code.
What line are you?
Okay, I'm on line 193, I'm sorry.
Okay.
193, okay, so that cross-reference is not state code, it was Harper's Ferry code. So there again, it's not even under the correct heading, to be clear. Do I go to West Virginia code to look for that? Where is that? Ordinance article 345.07 does not even exist in your Harper's Ferry code today. Okay, it is gone. 345 has been renumbered to something else. Okay, the same thing happens in line 194. It's not ordinance article 345.27. It doesn't exist anymore. So what might have happened over the course of time, and I did find where you've renumbered your ordinances several times, okay, it might all be under article 313. I did find some references to what red light or flag or extended load might be, or transporting explosive might be under article 313 in your new Harper's Ferry Code of Ordinances, which have been updated. So you see what's happened. You have updated your codes, and we haven't gone back to clean up the cross references.
Okay.
So that's all we're going to do.
Okay. So my final question is these 22 pages, Roberta, is this going to be an article?
No, sir. Please understand.
That's what I'm trying. That's what's confusing.
You don't have to hit page.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm probably the only one that feels this way. Go ahead, Zach, and then I'll call George.
Yeah, I just additionally timing it. We've had similar discussions when it comes to comprehensive plan, where there's a lot of text amendments that are presented, and we'll go through them. Generally, the details are generally accepted by the planning. So I respect the work that we've already done here. My question, I don't know if we're able to answer that tonight, other than asking ORC for their input, is I am not familiar with the method by which past one ordinance that then amends multiple other ordinances. That sounds like something that should exist for this exact reason, but that is the part that I'm like, just the proper pieces our eyes get legal advice.
Please understand, an ordinance is this document. An ordinance is not your article text. Okay, so this is basically a text amendment. Okay, and you are allowed to have multiple items within the ordinance that amends a body of text. Okay, that's all this is doing. It's amending a body of text. And once that passes, then it's up to the recorder, town clerk, secretary, whoever. I will put it up on myself. This goes through. I will have it done on June 30th. Okay, and the new ordinances of Harper's Ferry, which is a collective of articles and text, okay, not an ordinance, okay, a collective of language, okay. So please understand what I guess I need to help you guys understand.
George, you had a question?
Yeah, well, just an observation and a question. So to put this in layman's terms, what I'm getting is that this ordinance is a enabling conduit for the changes that are required in these basically typos. And another observation is I'm familiar with texts of, in some cases, century-old documents. Every time you have a document that passes along, it accumulates errors at almost a predictable rate, depending on what field you're in. And what Roberta and the committee have done here is taken the very laborious work of ferreting out a high level of the accumulated errors. I'd even submit that there may be errors in what you have here, because that's the way it goes with text. So I'm going to suppose this. I like what you say here is the transaction should have a legal stamp on it. The transaction, before we approve this, should have a legal stamp on saying, yes, this conduit does what it's described to do. I don't think what we should do is second guess the work of this committee, which would be hours of legal expense and tens of thousands of dollars to have a legal secretary or attorney go through and do this work to clean up all the accumulated errors. I think we should honor the kind of work that was done and then just get the attorney to stamp the approval on the conduit saying, yes, this is what the process is.
I'm not questioning all the work that was done. I mean, I would not do this work. I'm not questioning it. I'm questioning, is this the conduit, or whoever said that word, to get it all changed? I don't know.
I think it's a valid question.
And I'm not taking shots at ORC. Okay, there's 3 of you that served on that. I just want to make sure if we're doing this, we're doing it the way that it's supposed to be done. And I don't know what that way is.
Well, great. Right? None of us are lawyers up and down this table. And I think
Chris.
it's important.
Now, my only comment is that I don't know either that this is the correct policy or procedure. And yeah, I think maybe that would be a good idea to get guidance from council. When Roberta brought up this concern and had great concern about the cross references, I don't think it's as much errors as being outdated. Things have changed.
Well, that's time.
And you know, I said it's not my priority. I don't want to be involved with it. If you want to take this on, you can. She has spent a great deal of time on this effort. I tend to agree, I think, with George that maybe before we go pass a first reading, that's something that we're not sure that this is the right procedure. Maybe we should get guidance.
And I think Zach said it very eloquently. What what the issue is.
Yeah.
And again, Roberta, I echo Chris's, I don't want to do this, okay? This is not my thing. And for you to do this, I mean, this was an incredible amount of work that you did. I do not want to see that work be challenged or go in vain. I want to see that work to be sanctified as correct, so we don't run into challenges in future administrations.
Yeah, and I fully agree with that, and I'm ready to say that tonight is, if you want the town attorney to review this before we officially release it for first reading, I am more than happy to make a motion to that effect, okay?
There we
And,
go. There we go.
Put it on the table.
Put it on the table, kiddo.
Okay, ordinance 2025-01 as presented this evening in draft form for first reading shall be sent to legal review by the town attorney prior to having the official first reading in front of town council.
May I offer a suggestion? To be specific about reviewing the mechanisms that underpin the ordinance.
As to the mechanism.
Yes, so it's not reviewing every last word, but just
Thank
the mechanism.
I don't want to pay for the legal
And I'll
costs.
accept that amendment and tuck those words in where you feel appropriate.
Well, at the end of your motion, as to the mechanism.
Okay. I'll accept that.
All right, we got a second from George. Discussion? Chris.
I just wanted to say if Kevin is correct that this can be done administratively, maybe that would make it a very easy thing for this to go back to Roberta, who has said she can take care of that by June 30th.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
The other discussion, Roberta.
Yes, and let's just take an example. Okay, we had a text amendment for short-term rental. We had a text amendment for structure. That was just a simple text amendment. This is a text amendment on steroids. Okay, that's basically it.
Okay.
So we used the ordinance to do both of those last year.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Nina, you abstaining?
Sorry, I was trying to raise my hand to vote yes, but I was slow.
Okay, the motion carries 7-0. Okay, Roberta, you still have the floor.
Okay, yes, thank Mayor, so I presented ordinance 2025-02 for first reading. If, town council was ready. Again, we were presented with this situation by Administration Garcia. Chris graciously authored most of this text in here, and again, the OCO administration has looked it over and basically has agreed that they're happy with the format that it was presented. So we're basically adding a section 735.40 to the master article, which is titled Article 735, Business and Occupation Tax. Adding a new section called garage sale, yard sales, retail.
Second.
Yeah, you got to read the, Roberta, just read. Yeah. Do your first read, Roberta.
An ordinance of the Corporation of Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, amending the Code of Ordinances of Harpers Ferry, Part 7, Business and Taxation Code, Article 735, Business and Occupation Tax, to amend and add section 735.40, garage sales, yard sales, moving sales, updating, correcting West Virginia Code of References, cited for amendments, updates from the current West Virginia Code, and Part 13, Project and Zoning Code, Article 1302, Orange Terms and Phrases, amending and adopting new definitions of garage sales, yard sales, tag sales, porch sales, public sales, food sales, adopting text as presented, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
All right. Thank you, Roberta, for the read. We have a motion? Do we have a motion on the floor? Roberta
Yeah.
did the first reading.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Is there a second? All right, discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have one too. Let me go first. Mine's real simple. And Roberta, if you turn to page 2 and go to D, yeah, it's on line 25. I mean, this is no big deal, but I think every yard sale, garage sale that I go to, there's always new merchandise there. Somebody got a gift for Christmas, never opened a box, it's brand new, and it's sitting there, and they're selling it. I go to the women's club up here, and there are items in there that, you know, Uncle Bob gave to his nephew, and he never opened it. He didn't want it, so now they're selling it. And it's, so I'm splitting hairs, but I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, new merchandise, we probably should define new merchandise, but typically in a situation like that, it's a hand down, it's a regifting. So it's not new.
That's like Seinfeld.
Yes, exactly. So,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's technically not new merchandise.
I don't, it doesn't make any difference to me. It just jumped out at me. George, you had a comment?
No, I'm just trying to say, I happen to have Uncle Bob's 1948 Toastmaster that we never touched, and it ain't new.
Okay. All right, Storm.
yeah, so no, I like it generally, that we've all been in towns where there's a place that has a garage sale that's every weekend. So my questions are, one, it does not appear that you're required to have a permit to have a garage sale, so I'd like to confirm that that's the case. And second, what's the enforcement? So basically, the OCO, when you know it's someone's had it.
Yeah, I can go explain that. We tried to get that in, we discussed that with OCO and administration, and Ransom, what we use as one of our examples, Charlestown is one of our examples, have that in there. And so we thought, let's get this on the table, OCO and administration want to get this done, get it on the table, get it on the books. Okay, and what we propose to do in our June meeting for OCO is maybe add those things, because she has said, wait a minute, we need a permit. It's not in here. Wait a minute, we didn't do a forest test. Okay, so how is Kevin supposed to enforce this? And other thing I was going to maybe add tonight is we didn't put a time in here. So a time that they start at 7 a.m. and they must end their sale by sunset. That's not in here either. So we can either, I was going to make that suggestion tonight, to include the time at least, time would get in there. But as far as enforcement and a fee required, we were going to discuss that if it required another first reading, because when we get into our next meeting, otherwise we go forward to second reading and the new administration will clean up. So however you want to play that as well.
I would say that actually gives me great concern. I do not want to live in a town where you have to get a permit to have a yard sale.
Exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm saying this is good work here.
Yeah.
And if the body politic should rise up and demand permits for every time, you know, we
Yeah,
have a
that's like
garage
a-
sale. But I don't think that'll happen.
That's like a little 8-year-old girl selling lemonade.
Exactly.
Does she have to pay B&O tax?
She does. That's a great.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. We're in discussion, Chris.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that the reason this did come up to us, it was brought to us by the office, office coordinator and the OCO, that people had come to them and asked, does the town have regulations on garage sales? And the answer at that time was no, should we? And while it has not been a major problem, and again, going back to times and, you know, further details, you know, if at some point that becomes an issue or people are wondering about it or need guidance, maybe we can revisit it. But at this point, it's not a concern.
Yeah, right. Other discussion. Yeah, other discussion. All those in favor of the first reading? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay. Good. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Roberta, for all the time on all that. Again, Chair does not want to get involved. All right, so we got IOC. Nina,
Yeah, all right, we can make this pretty quick. Basically, because IOC will be disbanding at the end of this month and then reforming with the new members in July or August, whenever that ends up happening. I did get Verlissa access to the website company's portal, so she'll be monitoring that progress and making sure that that's continuing to go on. That is listed under her job description as sort of like one of her duties that she would assist with that. So she'll be able to hand those keys over to whoever takes over IOC when it comes to that point, so we won't lose any of that progress. Also sent out to everyone the versions of the logo that were created by the logo team that we had hired. So there was a few different iterations that several months ago. We had an open house where people came and took a look at them, kind of voted on which ones they liked, made some recommendations about some designs and some color schemes. And we took the information, brought it back to the logo company, and they made sort of a refined version that involved the color schemes that we had looked at and also some of the elements that we had discussed. So brought that to you guys today. Obviously, you know, this is not saying today, this has to be finalized and decided. However, if everyone likes the logo, that is the direction that we could go. But otherwise, looking for feedback. We do have a little bit left in the budget, so we can go back to the company for some minor adjustments, not a total redraw. If we can avoid that, that would be great. But we do have some, if there's some minor tweaks or anything that anyone would like to change, that is on the table.
okay, I'll open the floor up. Storm?
Yeah, so I had thought that ORC was going to be bringing forward two designs. IOC, sorry. Yeah, it's late. I'm not feeling well. And that I was actually disappointed that the other was not. There had been a discussion within IOC, particularly about whether John Brown's rate should be represented somewhere on the logo. And bear with me, I know it's late. I've read the statement and why I feel it's important. So what appears in the logo is important, always. Our official town logo would be our visual ambassador, and what appears that it must be deliberate, meaningful, and complete. All the rough designs have representations of Harper's Ferry's beauty, as they should, and all of them included the date 1763, which is when the Virginia General Assembly officially established Shenandoah Falls as Mr. Harper's Ferry. But sometimes what is not included in the logo can be just as important or even more so. In our case, it would be a glaring and conspicuous absence not to include a visual reference to John Brown's raid. Regardless of what one thinks about John Brown, his objectives, or the raid, it is a unique and important part of U.S. history. It's taught widely in American schools and around the world in the context of the Civil War and human rights. We existed with the city of Chatham-Kent, Ontario, because of John Brown's raid. It's a connection that we recently renewed. I'm going to skip over some of this to spare you the time, but basically about how, because of John Brown's raid, the park was established in Great Park, which really gave us the economy we have that sustains us. And we can also keep the words of Harper's Ferry's own mayor from 1959, William F. Raymond. He made the following remarks during that year of John Brown's raid centennial. Harper's Ferry did not ask to be the scene of this episode, but Brown chose it as the stage for his dramatic adventure. Many books and articles have been written about the event and its impact on the pages of history. Therefore, we do not shun the publicity or seek to avoid its effect. As a matter of fact, we are rather proud to have played such an important part in the building of our nation, despite as the venture was and horrible as was the war that followed. And more recently, in 2024, a mural of Harper's Ferry was unveiled at the Capitol in Charlestown that included John Brown's fort. So if the Harper's Ferry of 1959 and the state of West Virginia in 2024 and the world at large can all acknowledge the importance of the raid and its association with our town, why shouldn't we? And if we don't, what will history or our contemporaries say about us if we try to pretend that our town's singular and unique event never happened? For all these reasons, as stewards of the town and its history, I believe we have a duty to include John Brown's grave as part of the town's official logo and seal.
Thank you, Storm. Roberta?
I concur wholeheartedly with that statement. Beautifully read, well said, what you want to say.
Thank you.
George?
I don't have anything to say. This is prepared or as well thought out as what you have. I was part of this process, and what I'm aware of is that we had 5 or 6 designs presented to us that we made a really good faith effort to get public response on. And Nina, boy, she sat here, I believe, all day, right, Nina? To welcome the public. What we got was, I believe, 12 or 13 responses, and that number includes certain members of the committee. And even within that small sample, no singular design, I believe, got higher than a 20 or 21% choice. So I think you made a valuable point, and maybe people of this town will agree with that. But I think that what we ought to do is, in the next council, go back and give some considered interest, perhaps finding a more successful vehicle for getting this to the public and getting an opinion, so that we have some kind of parsing of choices. I have a point of view, you may have a point of view. To me, that's not as important as what sits well with the town. And I think we owe it to the town to try and find some better way to get the choices out to them to take a look at. And then we can make a go at it. That's my feeling. I'd like to see it postponed.
Zach?
I also don't have anything to say to Storm or even George, but I will add that the proposed logo, I do like the colors, and I like the perspective of town. I like the idea that we're emphasizing John Brown sport. My 2 concerns, whether we talk about this now or at a future meeting, are that I don't want to see us stumble into what the current logo has us doing, which is sort of a complex image, and when it gets copied multiple times, it's start to lose some of the detail. So my only fear is that either when transferred to other documents or made black and white, this new logo sort of doesn't move us too much further.
And I'll say, if we talk to the designers, that's something they can't do a version that would be simplified, that would stand up.
Yeah. So overall, I really like the colors. I like to see what else I like to do with emphasize the governance.
Chris?
This may, I hope this doesn't sound too nitpicky, but just from the pure historical, I think we're labeling Corporation of Harper's Ferry 1763, but the incorporation date for Harper's Ferry was actually 1851. So just something to think about. I don't know.
You picked it up, dude. Nobody else picked that up.
Oh, no, I was aware of it, but my thinking was, that's the first time it legally appeared as Harper's Ferry. And many towns like to go back to the earliest date they could possibly claim, like we could have said 1733, but that was simply when Robert Harper was like, this place is nice.
Zach?
April 16th.
I keep it in my office, because I fill out applications in Outland, when they want to get a credit.
Sorry.
We have to do credit.
The corporation,
It says incorporated.
1872.
Corporation. Very incorporated.
Okay.
That's our seal that we use.
Wow.
My
Final
guess is
Jeopardy.
that has to do with the state of West Virginia, that happened with the state of West Virginia. Our first town council was elected in 1851, and we have some historical documentation that.
Zach?
I just, to maybe have a discussion, the current logo does say 1733, probably the earliest date. Also has it includes Latin phrase hoc loco, which means in this place or sort of established. So maybe an additional phrase, be it Latin or English, that either established or incorporated clarify whatever they meant by all that. Good.
This doesn't need to be.
Yeah, Nina,
Okay, so just to summarize, what probably sounds like our best course of action is I'll put together all of this, and this can go to the next IOC iteration to review and maybe come up with another way to get feedback. And I'll make sure they have the contact information and all of that so that it can just be handed over. Does that sound like the best plan?
council comments?
I don't think that needs a vote. I think that's just kind of a, there we go, thumbs up.
I'd like to have some comments.
We could put circa at the bottom.
Don't worry,
The dinosaur.
Right, go ahead, Roberta.
Okay, I'll like some points tonight. Yes, I agree, we should postpone this until when we're ready to really look at it. And maybe, again, like Zach has said, I think the main reason you even went on this adventure is because the current logo, couldn't decide which one was the right one, but the one with the monkey attacking the city was the reason why you went on this journey. So the one that was presented to us via email is beautiful, it's highly detailed, but I agree with you, we're gonna end up in the same boat. It's got a little window, so tiny, microscopic, that we're gonna end up with a black blob of ink. And so, Nina, if you can ask them to present various formats of how this text, this logo is going to look, like on an envelope, when it's reduced to 1 inch, you know, give us some other points of, how do you say, measurements for sizes, so we can see that we're not gonna be in the same thing with the monkey attacking the Harper's Ferry.
I'm gonna hold off on asking them for,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Go
hold
ahead,
off on
Nate.
asking them for any other versions, just so that we can preserve budget.
Yeah.
But if you have any feedback like that, definitely just send me an email and I'll include all of that in the packet that gets handed over to the new IOC for review.
Nina, can you please include the statement that I read that I can send to you?
Yes, perfect. If you can send it to me, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Okay, Zach.
One last point,
Yeah.
that if we do have an opportunity to lean into the Harper's Ferry Tunnel Monkey as sort of our local cryptid, there's another avenue for advertising Harper's Ferry. The current logo for those who don't have the bridge and tunnel sort of have morphed together into a silhouette that does look like a form of a monkey. It's a fun little nod to what is happening.
All right, we're getting giddy, gang. Nah, I don't think so.
She said we don't.
Yeah, all right, thank you, Nina.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nina.
Dark skies, Storm or Zach?
No updates, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Chris,
Second.
second from
Oh,
George. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn? We are adjourned at 9:25, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks,
Still
everyone.
there?
See you tomorrow.
All right.
Nina, if you could put nunquam Mino solus on the seal, that would be great. Okay?
Sounds great. I'll definitely work on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And the translation is?